We are live. We're back to the duo. I am sitting down this episode because I'm freaking tired. I was telling Spencer, right now it's Wednesday. We typically do it on Tuesdays, but scheduling wise, it works better for both of us. And then also yesterday, I was just feeling sick again. Like I don't know what it is in the air. Maybe it's the cold front that's coming into Texas. Supposedly, we're supposed to have like snow this weekend. So I'm just gonna literally bundle up, watch sports, play video games, and watch UFC on Saturday night. Those are my plans.
It's definitely rest up and got conference championship weekend this week. Some people say it's better than the Super Bowl. I think the Super Bowl, barring some good performance by the Broncos or the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I feel like the Seahawks-Rams game is the proverbial Super Bowl. So should be a good weekend.
Yeah, I know. And then, just because I think also 2 games is better than 1 in most cases. Like people argue like divisional round and also wild card weekend are awesome because there's just so many games being played both Saturday and Sunday. But I'm excited. We got some good stuff laid up on the slate for this episode. And let's go ahead and hop right into it. The recap part of our show, we're going to start off with NFL, obviously being the most important right now, divisional recap. And it's been an interesting divisional round, to say the least. I've won some bets. I've lost some bets. I think overall I'm probably a little bit in the red, to be honest, maybe a little bit even. But looking back on Saturday's games, 4 games, but I think that's 4 games split up Saturday, Sunday, I think is like the perfect amount. It's not too much, but it's also not like a super tiny amount. But that Bills-Broncos game, I was at B-Dubs to watch this game, and it was pretty crazy. Went into overtime. Josh Allen, I bet on the Broncos money line like a week before that Saturday. Honestly, I thought they just had the edge, and we kind of saw it throughout the whole game. Both defenses were kind of surprising. Broncos are typically really good against the run and able to stop defenses. One of the top defenses in the league, and they really couldn't stop anyone on the Bills. And this is coming from a Bills team who literally only have Josh Allen. Like Gabe Davis is out for the year. Tyrell Shavers is out for the year. You have like Dalton Kincaid and I don't even know who their other receivers are. Just a bunch of like Keon Coleman. I don't even know if he caught a pass, but Brandon Cooks is your wide receiver 1, if that says anything. But they were able to march down the field. It was a high-scoring game, so if you bet the over, that was definitely a good move. And it ended up going down to overtime, which is pretty crazy. I actually didn't see the whole game. I mainly just watched the end of the game. And, man, that was a sweat. Going into overtime, I doubled down on the Broncos, and it ended up turning in my favor because, honestly, the Bills kind of had it, and then they turned the ball over, and then Denver was able just to march down the field, kick the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I think you said you picked the Broncos straight up. I felt like the Broncos would win. We both liked 2 weeks ago, right, or a week and a half ago, Jags over the Bills. I felt like Jags had an opportunity to win that game. Not to rehash things, but Josh Allen did Josh Allen things. They came up to win, and we both felt like the Broncos at home rested with the Bills' lack of offensive weapons would be their downfall. And where do you cut up the blame pie, Mike? Unfortunately, as much as I like Josh Allen, I'd give him the bulk of the pie in terms of the pie of blame. That costly kind of moronic fumble at the end of the first half.
That set up the Denver for a free 3 points, 10.5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of just inexcusable. I get, trying to get some points at the end of the half, but It's a point I kind of want to make touching on when we touched on the last game, Rams Bears. But just teams just being too aggressive and leaving points on the table. You saw it in the Bills game, and like I said, you see it a lot in the Sunday night game, Rams versus Bears. But where do you think the Bills go? I mean, Josh Allen has never made a Super Bowl. I think has made 2 conference championship games, ultimately resulting in their longtime coach of 9 years, Sean McDermott, being fired. What do they have to do, Mike, to get over the hump?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think this is a coaching issue. Like, I have my gripes with Sean McDermott. I get it. It's, you got to do something with that team. I think at the end of the day, they just, let me first take on this specific game, and then I'll go into like what the Bills need to do in the off season and moving forward to be successful. In this game, it was very much like you win by Josh Allen, you die by Josh Allen. I think that's what any Buffalo Bills fan has come to accept, especially this season more so, because literally he doesn't have any offensive weapons. Sure, you got James Cook, but other than that, like, you don't have like a solid wide receiver. And he just like throws it to his tight ends a lot. But he does a lot of the work himself with his legs, and that's just kind of the nature of Josh Allen. So, he can pull you out some great wins like he has the past couple games, but you also throw the chance of, him slinging it and stuff and causing turnovers, just trying to do what Josh Allen does, and things don't go the right way. I think that one at the end of the first half was pretty bad. I think they should have just, if anything, like threw the ball he was just running around, like swinging that ball around. There was no reason for him to do that. But two interceptions in the game doesn't help him. I think he total had like 3 or 4 turnovers. And in a game where literally the slightest edge, he just had 1 or 2 less turnovers, they would have won this game. So win by Josh Allen, die by Josh Allen. I think you kind of have to accept that. Now for the offseason, they fired Sean McDermott. Honestly, I don't understand why they would fire him, because I don't know. There's no like other good coaches that you could possibly get, honestly, unless you think they're possibly like looking at their current offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, as well as a couple other options. I heard Brian Daboll was in the conversation as well, I want to say, and I don't know why you would even like, flirt with the idea of him being your head coach after what he's done with the Giants. But
I mean, I don't think it's a crazy, candidate. I think they were even talking about the Giants possibly hiring him back as an offensive coordinator, as crazy as that would be.
Look at the reason he fired by a team and like, hey, we want to give you a job. It's a demotion.
I mean, you got bills to pay, but I mean, the reason why he got the Giants job is because of the work he did as an offensive coordinator on the Bills. And yeah, some people just aren't built out to be a head coach, but I was somewhat shocked when he got fired from the Giants. Like, I know the Giants, they played us in the toilet bowl at the end of the season, but I feel like he was really making strides with Jackson Dart, and there was some improvement. Losing Malik Neighbors, I definitely know they lost Malik Neighbors because he was on my fantasy team. So early in the season didn't help him. And there's only so much you can do with a player who kind of just plays reckless like Jackson Dart and doesn't know how to slide. I'm not saying he's like, the Ben Johnson of last season, but I just feel like they needed a new voice in the locker room. 9 seasons, consistent, coming up short. Josh Allen called it the big white buffalo, not being able to make a Super Bowl, let alone win it. So, yeah, I think there were 10 firings this season. I think if not the most firings in an off season, pretty close, almost a third of the league. So,
hey, I mean, your Raiders, I put it in our group chat. I'm like, hey, if I were the Raiders, I'd be seeing if Sean McDermott would be available to come to the Raiders. And honestly, like Giants, I think they do a definite upgrade in hiring John Harbaugh. Like for my gripes about John Harbaugh, I think at that point it was either Harbaugh or Lamar Jackson, and maybe you could make the case it was the same with the Bills. It was either Josh Allen or Sean McDermott, and obviously you're going to go with your franchise player on that. But at the end of the day, I think the Bills, like head coaching aside, I think they just need to get better offensively as far as like weapons. And if any year was this year, or any year they would win it, it would be this year with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs being out. But also, it just comes down to health. I know Josh Allen is like Iron Man, and he like always plays amazing, but that wild card game, he got really banged up, and you might have not seen it a ton at the end of that game, and also going into this divisional game against Denver. But though that's kind of stuff makes a difference as well. You go through an 18-game regular season, even though you didn't play the last game, and you play multiple rounds of playoffs. Like at the end of the day, like most teams that end up just staying healthy end up winning it all. Unfortunately,
Can I interest you in AJ Brown? Would you as a
GM, I told someone about that too, and I'm like, honestly, like AJ Brown, Buffalo would be interesting. Obviously, automatically makes them better. But then I also kind of have some questions, like, is he just going to be like another Stephon Diggs on the Bills? Like, really awesome, but obviously he can bring some issues with him as well. I'd say you have to bring in another wide receiver too, kind of like what Dallas did with like CeeDee Lamb being the wide receiver one de facto, and then George Pickens is kind of like, hey, this guy has really big upside, but also like there are some downsides to him, like being brutally honest. So in the case that the downsides prevail over the upsides, at least we still have CeeDee Lamb. I think the Bills could do the same thing with AJ Brown, but I think they need another person for just insurance.
For sure. Well, yeah, left to be seen. Kind of moving on to the next game. Not a whole lot to talk about. I saw somebody say that the Seahawks could have stopped playing offense after the first 15 seconds of the game and still won the game, obviously, having a kickoff return touchdown to start the game off 7-0, and the 49ers only being able to put up 2 field goals, final score 41-6. And yeah, I mean, Mike, do you think the 49ers window is closed?
I don't necessarily think it was closed. I mean, let's be honest, Seattle's defense is legit. Like, they're very legit in this league. Behind the Houston Texans, they're definitely the best defense in the NFL. And I'm still wary about their offense, you know. Honestly, I didn't watch that game at all. We like finished up Buffalo Wild Wings, saw like the first 3 or 4 possessions of the game, and clearly, Seattle was in control of that game, and I didn't have anything on it as far as action, so I didn't really watch much of it. But yeah, all I heard was Brock Purdy was in hell pretty much the entire game, and you could see that in the box score being only like scoring 2 field goals, not even a touchdown. And I heard also they had a ton of like people just end up like dropping off injury wise for them. So obviously that doesn't help. And I think honestly, San Francisco overachieved this year with all the injuries they had. Purdy at the beginning of the year, Ayuk missing the entire season, which I don't think he's going to be seen in a 49ers uniform again. I think he's going to go to another team. Kittle being in and out of the lineup, Trent Williams being injured at the end of the season. And then talk about defensive end. The defensive ends, they're just atrociously bad. Like, I understand that they had so many injuries, Fred Warner, a bunch of their corners, a lot of their starting guys. So they're playing like 3rd and 4th strings at the end of the season. Very interesting that Robert Saleh like still got a head coaching job, honestly. Granted, it's the Titans. I don't think he's going to really make that team any better, to be honest. But congrats to him, nonetheless. But I don't think the window's closed as long as they have CMC, Purdy. I don't know how long Trent Williams is going to play for. Might be his last season or maybe play 1 or 2 more seasons, but he's super old. So they just need to reload defensively as well as on their offensive line as well. And then maybe get another receiver or something. AJ Brown to their wide receiving core would be interesting too, potentially. But I so far, yeah, their window's not closed by any means, especially with Kyle Shanahan being their coach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was just incredible that they were able to make it this far, considering all the injuries that stacked up throughout the season. And I wouldn't say it was their Super Bowl because they've been there before, but beating the Eagles was a huge victory on the road. Definitely shocked a lot of Eagles fans. Shout out Tanner McKee. But yeah, I just don't know. I mean, like McCaffrey, he proved that, his tendinopathy or whatever was wrong with his calves was maybe manageable, but just another year older for a running back. Not everyone's Derrick Henry. He had Kittle blow out his Achilles. I don't know if he won't be. I don't think he'll be back for the start of the season, but when does he come back during the season and how effective is he going to be? He's no spring chicken anymore, and they just have an aging roster. And I just don't know if they may have missed their window. They went to the Super Bowl twice in the last, 6 years. Came up short both times. It seems to be Shanahan's go-to move. Play it safe in the Super Bowl and end up losing. But yeah, I just don't know where they go from here. They've paid Brock Purdy as well, so have a lot of money tied up in the quarterback. They say the time to win the Super Bowl is when you're on the rookie scale, or a Sam Darnold where you're not paying them, $40 or $50 million. I don't know. That's kind of my take.
Yeah, I don't think it's close. I will say it is really tough being in their division. That NFC West division is a gauntlet with
except the Cardinals. But
yeah, exactly. But so that's always a thing. So they're always going to have to be playing for a wild card spot, most likely, unless they're able to win the division and they're the number 1 seed. But it'll be interesting to see what moves they make as soon as they can get a little bit healthier, add some depth. I'm not as concerned with like CMC getting older or George Kittle getting older, because then you can just bring in new guys to back them up. That'll be their next phase of, all right, who's a guy that we can rotate in? Can we find someone in the draft, or can we pick up someone off of free agency that's a young player that can learn from CMC and obviously like not match his production because that's impossible, but to be a reliable guy so that way CMC's not having to take like 75-80% of the snaps.
For sure. I guess it'll be left to be seen. Next game, Texans, Patriots. Patriots winning the game 28-16, covering the 3 or 3.5 spread, depending on what you've got. Yeah, you want to start off with
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. The path to the Patriots Super Bowl this year, which I think at this point the Patriots are probably going to make the Super Bowl. I think the Broncos Pats like AFC Championship game is going to be a lot tougher than people think. But easiest path to the playoffs, easiest path to NFL Super Bowl for the Pats. It's probably going to. I would love to see a Pats versus Rams Super Bowl. Both MVP candidates duel it out. Matthew Stafford ends up beating Drake May because he has more experience. They have a more experienced lineup. They have a more experienced coach. They have more experienced everything. Pats are up and coming. They'll be around for a long time, unfortunately, for all us non-Pats fans, because we were tired of seeing them win so many times with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. But yeah, there's nothing much to say. The Texans lost this game more than the Pats won this game, in my opinion. Clip that.
Yeah, CJ Stroud's the first quarterback ever, and he only played 2 games to have 5 interceptions, 5 fumbles, and a single playoff. I just don't know what he was doing. Like, I was watching the game, and that one pick six, people were saying he just doesn't like to get hit. I don't blame him, especially in that cold weather of Foxborough.
It's like literally the cardinal sin of being a quarterback. Never throw it across your body to the opposite end of the field.
Yeah, he kind of just hucked it up, and me or Mike could have caught it and probably run it back. It was like a 20-yard return. And yeah, people were saying, like, I saw somebody say the Texans, all they needed was not to have an awful performance at quarterback to beat the Patriots with their defense. And CJ Stroud had a beyond awful performance. 4 interceptions.
Like Dan Orlovsky said, like 31 other quarterbacks in this league could have won that game.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not somewhat justifiable, but he didn't have Nico Collins. He didn't have another one of his wide receivers, Dalton Schultz, that ended up getting hurt, and I think even another tight end during the game. They said that CJ Stroud threw a ball so bad that he made one of his teammates tear his ACL trying to catch the ball. But yeah, I mean, the Texas defense came to play. I think Drake May had at least a couple fumbles.
He had 3 fumbles.
3 fumbles, and he threw an interception, right? Or
yes, he threw an interception. It was at the end of the half, so technically an interception, but yeah,
more like a punt than anything. But just putting pressure on him, causing him to fumble the ball, and even in the fourth quarter, they were only down by less than 1 score. They were down by 5 points, and they had the ball. CJ Stroud just couldn't deliver. So, congrats, Drake May. You've had one of the easiest schedules in NFL history, and your playoff route has consisted of a Justin Herbert if man with no line whatsoever.
They literally blitzed every play and it worked.
And CJ Drewski Stroud at quarterback. And then
they play Bo Nixless Broncos.
Yeah, and you said, I mean, you kind of gave away your pick for, the up and coming week, but I'm telling you, don't sleep on the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm totally on board with that. It'll be interesting to see what I actually bet, like spread wise. I think the last time I saw it was like 5.5, but we'll get there. Yeah, it's going to be a tougher game than you think.
For sure, especially in Denver, where the Patriots have never won in the playoffs.
And remember the last time, like what do people say? The Pats have a history of like choking against a Broncos team without their starting quarterback or something.
Yeah, BDN, Big Nick. Sweet. And the last game, absolutely crazy game. In my opinion, the Broncos game was close, but just because of the high, not even high stakes, you just felt the tension on the field and, cardiac Caleb. But the Rams ultimately beating the Bears 20-17, low scoring game. Hopefully you guys grab the under. In Chicago. And Matthew Stafford, I feel like I would have, but I didn't bet 2 touchdown passes. He didn't throw 2. He didn't even throw 1. 0 touchdown passes, but they came up with the win. Yeah,
that was a crazy game. I actually bet the over. And the crazy thing is the over still had a chance to hit. I just needed both teams to score in overtime, a touchdown. And whenever I saw the Rams punt when they got possession first, I was like, yeah, it's cooked. But anyway, yeah, even through regulation, there was chances, but it doesn't help when Caleb Williams throws 2 interceptions, one being at the very first drive of the play, being in the red zone, throwing an interception. Like, that's tough. Anyway, yeah, great game nonetheless. I think this was definitely the Bills-Broncos game was pretty awesome, but this game was really awesome as well. Both games going to overtime, and I don't know how the Bears keep doing it. They just keep putting themselves in holes and then digging themselves out and somehow like forcing the game into overtime and having a chance to win. It's
throw of the year.
What?
Do you think it was a throw of the year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was down in Mexico with my family, just on vacation, and we were watching it in the lobby. on like their biggest, 50-inch TV, nothing crazy. And we just saw Caleb running back. We're like, oh, it's over. And you just see him toss it, and you're like, oh, it's a formality. And then you see Cole Kmet in the end zone wide open. And
I will say, I think there was arguments, if you actually watch the full clip, that people were saying it could have been an offensive pass interference, which if you look at the full clip and you actually see him, he does kind of like shove the defender a little bit.
yeah,
But,
I just don't think it was egregious, and
yeah,
they weren't going to call that.
Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, I think the better team won, so it all worked out in the end, in my opinion.
Like, to go on that, Sean Payton said, I know there was like controversial, we didn't touch on it, catch or not a catch. I know Mike's a Cowboys fan, so Dez caught it. There was a similar catch, or people were saying a similar catch with Devontae Adams, I think in overtime or the fourth quarter, where they ripped the ball from him. For myself and Joe Burrow, who tweeted out, the refs got the play right. With the Broncos game, he never really finished the catch, and Sean Payton even said there was a hold in the end zone when they were backed up that should have ended the game on a safety. That would have caused absolute outrage. And this one, Devontae caught the ball. He took a couple steps. You clearly saw he was trying to get down, and he had his knee down, and they pulled the ball out. So, like, good call on the refs for both of those plays. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say I agree. I think they got them both right. If you look at the replays, I believe that in that Bronco, the thing is, the people clip that one still image of like, oh, it looks like they have possession and they're down. But if you watch the whole clip, that the first like Bills interception was he went down, but the defender's hands were also on the ball as he was going down, and at that point, I think the ball was already coming out a little bit. So he never finished the play, like he said. Then Devontae Adams, on the other hand, like he went down, but finished through, and I don't think the defender's hands were completely on the ball. It was more afterwards he went down with the ball, then the defender ripped it out.
For sure. But yeah, absolutely crazy game. The point I wanted to make that I kind of touched on as we were reviewing the Broncos game is, and I'll ask you, I have my opinion, but is the NFL just being too analytically driven and too aggressive and costing, ultimately wins? I wanted to touch on this. I wanted to talk about it during this recap game because the Bears went for it 3 times on fourth down, didn't get it either of the times, and ultimately left, 9 points on the table in regulation, which would have, ended the game right then and there. On their first opening drive, they went for it on like a 4th and 1 on the 21-yard line, threw an interception. Another time they were on the 32-yard line, or maybe 31, 32-yard line. So not a crazy kick, but, 48, 49-yard field goal, go for it again, get stuffed. And then at the goal line, which the last one I don't knock as hard because it was like the end of the game. And if you don't get it, the Rams are backed up. You need a touchdown anyway. So play the field position game, and they did. And Caleb's throw ended up helping them get to overtime. But what are your thoughts, Mike? Because I just feel like teams just look at their, analytical play sheet, see 4th and 2, and they're like, the analytics say, let's go. So let's go. And they don't get it, and they end up losing the game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to also take into account like how many times like they've done that. Same with what's his name? The Lions head coach Dan in Detroit. Like how many games has he won that way? Like by going for it on 4th down or going for 2. And there's actually a question a reporter asked Ben Johnson at the end of that game, asking him, "Hey, why didn't you go for 2 at the end of regulation?" And he said, "Just because of like circumstances and home field advantage, we felt like we had a good chance in overtime, rather than just end the game right there." So that was also another thing, like based off of the game. I mean, like I think both of them understood that, like, this is the Rams, this isn't the Packers we're playing against. They're a better team than we are. So like, what are our chances? Are your chances better in overtime, or are we better just to go for it for the 2-point conversion to end the game right here. So I don't think so. I think it naturally like weeds itself out. I mean, we saw this experiment a little bit with the Houston Rockets in the NBA. Like it can get you really far, but then it's also at the end of the day, you live and you die by it. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So I don't think necessarily. I think it makes things more interesting and exciting, and it definitely puts you in circumstances to potentially like win games where if you were to take the safer, approachable route, you wouldn't have been in the game otherwise. So I think it adds an interesting mix of clash and coaching styles.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand from a viewership standpoint, going for it on 4th down, all the fans tune in, a lot of high stakes. You either get the first down or you turn the ball over on down. But I don't know. I've seen it, especially in these playoffs, especially in that last game. But throughout the season, just teams and this, just go for it, leaving points on the table. In the playoffs, where the game just gets tighter, points become more valuable. I just feel like a lot of times you gotta, just take the points. I think Andy Reid has kind of been one of those conservative coaches, and it's paid off where they just squeak out wins because they got points in the first and second quarter when another team would go for it.
Yeah, I think also just dependent on, if you're down or if you're up, or I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But I do definitely think Ben Johnson is for sure like more aggressive than other coaches.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Johnson went for it on the first drive. Like it's 0-0.
Like at that point, like I probably would just keep the field goal with the opening drive, get some momentum pumping. But it's a risk reward, just like anything that you do is risky. It's like if they end up scoring, like it's a totally different game. Imagine if they scored on like the attempts that they didn't get once, they would have won the game.
Yeah. I mean, the other point is, imagine if they kicked 2 field goals or 3 field goals on those 3 attempts, or even 2, they win the game. So
that's also assuming they make those field goals as well.
Yeah, for sure. But
all right, we're gonna have to go a little bit fast because I actually have to hop in 20 minutes.
Sure.
So, we can probably. I don't have much to go over college basketball. I mean, I'll cover like college football really quick. I mean, everyone knew who's going to win the Natty. It was the Hoosiers and our boy Fernando Mendoza, future Raider, #1 pick in this summer's draft. And yeah, it was a closer game than we expected. I last second bet the Hoosiers -7 because I saw -7. It went all the way up to 9.5. I was really hoping we would get to 10. So then I would bet Miami because I think a +10. It's too much at that point. Still being the championship game, even though Indiana is the by far superior team. But we got a masterclass from Fernando Mendoza. Like he said in the post-game interview, whatever it takes to win, whatever the team needs me to do, I'll take shots in the front, shots in the back. I'll be laying on the ground. Like anywhere on my body, I'll take it. Clip that. And he ended up getting the job done. He's just such a likable guy, who can't not like this guy.
Yeah, most definitely. I was flying back from Mexico, but I caught the last, 5 or 6 minutes. Saw the Fernando gutsy 4th and 4 run, spinning, putting his hand on the ground to balance himself and diving in the end zone. And yeah, Carson Beck had a chance to, win the game down by 6. And I think all 3 of the Miami Hurricanes losses this season have ended as a result of a Carson Beck interception. So there's a reason why Georgia, I can't say let him walk because they entered the transfer portal, but there's a reason why he isn't, projected as a #1 first round pick. He has his deficiencies, but I think it was a crazy game, being 10-0 at the half and Miami just refusing to die. But Kurt Signetti, Google me.
Google him. He wins. I love that guy. Dude, to turn around a program that fast in 2 years is crazy. It's going to be interesting to see how the program goes. I think obviously he's going to keep a similar, same coaching style. He doesn't care if he's coaching 2 stars, 3 stars, or 5-star recruits. or former 5-star recruits. He's going to coach the exact same he's always been coaching because that's proven to be very successful for him. But it will be interesting to see how these players adapt because it's like, hey, you come to this Indiana program, it's not about you. And of course, they're going to be like paying their players like all these other teams, and they're going to have the money to back it up. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of players end up going to Indiana, and if they prove to continue being successful. Because I think it's one thing to take 2 or 3-star guys who know they have a chip on their shoulder to buy into that kind of system, but 5-star guys, and I don't know, not as much. Because they know they're just going to go to the NFL. Like a lot of these guys in the Indiana team, like sure you got Fernando, it's going to go to the NFL, maybe some of their secondary players and key star receivers, but majority of the guys on that team are probably not going to go to the NFL.
Most definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, left to see. I think they said Notre Dame or Ohio State is the projected odds-on favorite to win the Natty next season. I'll tell you what, fade the Alabama Crimson Tide just because I don't believe in Kalen DeBoer. But other than that, it's left to be seen. Dante Moore is going back to Oregon. Will Oregon ever win or next year finally win their first national championship game or national championship title? Left to be seen. But
man hated the Jets so much that he decided to come back for another year of college.
And I don't blame him. Watch the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where one of the characters dies because the Jets hurt him so much.
Gave up $50 million guaranteed. Like, I know you're going to the Jets, but I don't know. Like, sure, he's probably making a cool like $5-6 million at Oregon, but I don't think he gets. I don't even know if he's a top 10 quarterback in the next draft.
Yeah, top 10 definitely. Top 10 pick for sure. Left to be seen.
I don't even know if he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, honestly. Anyway, that's the discussion for another day. Let's go ahead and go into it. I have 15 minutes. Probably have Spencer stay on to do UFC by himself just because I have to hop off. I have corporate Mike is calling at 5:30.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to just skip college basketball.
Yeah, I should move to NFL for next week. And then we can do NBA.
Yeah, NFL. Obviously, the conference championship games. You have Patriots versus Broncos. Current spread is still Patriots -5.5. Low over under 42.5. Give me the Broncos +5.5. I may end up either teasing it up to 7.5 or hoping to see if the Patriots score first. I like the Broncos. Maybe it's my Matthew Stafford MVP, even though it's finalized and the playoffs don't matter. But I just felt the Patriots are still pretenders and just not ready to make that next step. And I feel like the Broncos defense will come to play. Being in Denver, Mile High is huge. Yeah, give me the Broncos +5.5.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. I'm trying to see what it actually opened at. So it opened at -4.5. So definitely money is going on New England. And like you said, this is going to be played at Mile High Stadium in Denver. I was trying to pull up. I have from Tuesday, I think, here, the injury report, kind of like the practice. So let me see where I have it. I might have deleted it. But anyway, I saw that like Carlton Davis, he's like one of I think their second starting cornerback. He left the game last week, and that's pretty huge. I mean, you have Christian Gonzalez, who's their number one quarterback on the Pats, and then you have Carlton Davis, who's like a big play in their game against the Texans last week, and he's left the game at the end of the game against the Texans and was a limited practice. So it'll be interesting. I don't know exactly what his injury is, but it'll be interesting if for some reason he's like limited in any fashion, or he'll probably try to suit up being the AFC Championship game. But if for some reason he doesn't play, that's a big hit to their secondary. And the big question mark, obviously, is the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, Jarrett Stidham. I mean, the last game he looked really good and was actually in a Raiders uniform against who was it? It was against the Niners. He put up 35 plus points, had a chance to win the game. So, but being in this game and knowing Sean Payton, you're going to get a heavy dose of RJ Harvey in this game. Lots of easy throws for Stidham, especially early on. Eventually, like, he's going to have to take some shots, and I think they have the receivers to do that. It'll be interesting to see the Patriots. I mean, they keep going up against these tough defenses. Drake May is able to make some plays here and there. I think this will definitely be a close game. I'm hoping this gets steamed up even more. If it gets to like 6, I'm definitely on the Broncos. 5.5, I'd probably lean Broncos right now. If you can get to 6, 6.5, I would love to buy the Broncos right there. But yeah, most definitely. The game is definitely Broncos or nothing, because I do not see. Only way I'd be interested in this game would be like a Pats like -4, -3.5, but it's not going to get there.
Yeah, I just like the Broncos. Former Raider quarterback Jarrett Stidham. I think Sean Payton will have them ready to go.
Yeah, and playing in Denver is no joke. Like, the altitude is a big issue, and I don't think the Patriots have traveled anywhere where there's altitude so far this season, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Kind of just blazing through it. Then my Super Bowl, Rams or Seahawks host the Rams. Seahawks favorite by 2.5. Over under 46.5.
Yeah, I like the Rams.
I think it's easy to just say, Seahawks money line. I'm not going to give you any stats.
You think the Seahawks is the play? Like, barring like, who do you think is going to win or not?
I mean, you look back, they split this season series, obviously being divisional foes. Each team taking care of business at home. But the Rams probably should have won the second game as well in Seattle. They were up 16 points, and my dad, he came home and I told him the score. He's like, yeah, the game's over. Then, like, next thing you know, Rashid Shaheed ran back a punt return. Rams special teams has been their Achilles heel all season, losing the game early to the Eagles on a blocked field goal attempt to win the game, but just a bunch of other instances. But Seattle's a crazy tough place to play. I think they said that there was registered as a mini earthquake when Raheem Shaheed ran back that kickoff return last week against the 49ers. Yeah, I mean, it's a tight spread. But yeah, don't even give me the points, just Rams money line. I think, our guy, Puka Nakua is just going to show up, just.
Clip that for Puka guys out there.
Yeah, and it comes down to a lot of these games is just who has a better quarterback. Sam Darnold only played one game in the playoffs against like a handicap 49ers team. Like when the light shine the brightest, he tends to shrink. So prove me wrong, Sam Darnold, but Rams money line.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm actually very surprised. I mean, I get it. Seahawks being the number 1 seed, they initially had the bye, and then they kind of had that joke of a game against San Francisco. I can tell you, the Rams are not San Francisco. They actually have like a better, I would say, offense, even though San Francisco's offense has been great this season. But they have a better offense. They have a way better defense. I actually think, kind of looking at this game, it could be an under spot. I know that both games have been kind of flip-flops of each other, that first game being underplay, which I hit, and then the other game being an overplay, which I also hit. This being a playoff game, I think is very much an underplay. Seattle's defense is really good. I think the Rams' defense is very underrated. We have a big question mark on what's his name? They don't have him listed on the injury report, but Rams had a lineman, I think was injured, but like came back into the game, which is a starting lineman. I think one of their guards, which will be provide a big help for them if they can get him back healthy. So I like the Rams. Their offense is really good. Seattle's defense is really good. I think Seattle's offense is pretty overrated, in my opinion, just because their defense is so dominant. They get so many short fields. They get so many scores off of turnovers, defensive touchdowns. So I think that skews a lot of people thinking that this Seattle offense is actually really good. Don't get me wrong. JSN probably going to be the offensive player of the year for the NFC. Sam Darnold, but like Spencer said, when the lights shine the brightest, Sam Darnold doesn't really perform, up to his capabilities. I could easily see him throwing a couple interceptions this game. But same with Matt Stafford, because he likes to sling the ball. So I like Rams money line. Whether or not I'll actually play it, I'm not sure, because I also have a Rams Super Bowl future in the works. Definitely not going to hedge at this point. I would hedge the next game because I think the Rams definitely have a good chance of winning this game. But yeah, looking at the total, I think I'd probably be a little bit more on the under than a side here.
Sweet. I don't know if you want to touch on NBA or just quickly
Yeah, we can do NBA real quick. I'll push my college basketball in the next week, because honestly, college basketball, it's like there's good games every week. Nothing super big as far as like, because there's so many basketball games, they'll play 2 to 3 times a week. So they go by pretty quickly. But next week I'll do it like there's this post by Field of 68, which it says these 11 teams can win the title via a podcast. And I'll do the breakdown of each of those teams and mainly their flaws, because everyone knows their strengths. Not too many people know their weaknesses and how they could get beat by other teams. So let's jump into NBA for the last 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, I just made a list of, we're getting close to the All-Star weekend and trade deadline. I'll name you a couple teams. You tell me if they should be buyers or sellers at the deadline. We'll just somewhat rapid fire it. Toronto Raptors, currently, I believe, the 4 seed in the East.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think they need to do anything, but if anything, buy. I know there are possible talks with Anthony Davis, but honestly, I mean, from a Mavs fan, definitely trade for Anthony Davis. I don't want him anymore. But from their Raptors perspective, I don't know why you would need Anthony Davis. They have a lot of great young players that could potentially put a package together. I think they probably need a little more veteran presence, especially at guard. They're set on the wings, to be honest. Maybe also a center. I know they've kind of been lacking in a center. Pirtle has been out most of the year, and their starting center, I think, for a lot of their games has been what's his name? I just forgot it. Like Eastern European guy. But anyway, so guard definitely a center. So I think they're either do nothing or buyers, because this year has been an overachievement for them.
For sure. And I guess the better question would be of, these three teams. The Detroit Pistons, number 1 seed in the East. New York Knicks, number 3 seed in the East. Or 4. Oklahoma City Thunder, number 1 seed in the West. And San Antonio Spurs, number 2 seed in the West. Which of those top contenders do you feel like need to push all their chips to the center and go for it this season?
I think probably the Pistons, to be honest, because I think who did you name? The Thunder,
Detroit, the Pistons, Knicks, Thunder, and Spurs. Obviously, Thunder are defending champs. Probably have the least likely rationale to go all in, but they have been struggling since the NBA Cup, losing to the Spurs. Now have 8 losses. I think, they can't lose any more games in order to break the record. So probably not going to happen. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Out of those 4 teams, I think the Knicks. They've been in playoff contention for a long time. The Pistons just kind of re-emerging as a playoff team once again after a long time. The Knicks, you had it on the agenda. They've lost nine of their last 11. They had a players only meeting. Mike Brown, and people are talking about like, should they have really fired Tibbs over Mike Brown, who definitely has a different philosophy for the game than Tibbs. I think there's pros and cons to both their coaching styles. Tibbs' main issue with him is he would just play his starters the whole game, every single game. And at the end of the season, his players would just be tired and hurt. So they wouldn't perform as well in the playoffs. Or if they got really deep in the playoffs, they would fall off. For Mike Brown, there seems like less seriousness, obviously, about the regular season, which can be somewhat of a concern. Yeah, they've gone on a big losing streak. There's teams that do that all the time. They're talking about potentially trading Cat and maybe even putting something together for a Giannis trade. I think they just need to get a little bit more depth, honestly. And it's tough. Like the style of play that they run with Jalen Brunson being a very heavy usage guard. We've kind of seen it with Luka and the Mavericks, Luka on the Lakers right now. You just have someone who just has such a high usage rate. Offense can get really stagnant. If you're not hitting threes or getting to the free throw line, your offense really struggles. And then on the defensive end, let's be honest, like you have good defensive wings and Josh Hart and OG Anunoby, but Jalen Brunson, he's not a defender. So, and you rely on him so much offensively, like how much defense is he actually going to play? So that's the big concern with these heavy usage guards is they're very gifted and high reliance offensively, but you're probably not really getting much, if anything. You might have a negative effect on the defensive end. So I don't think really Cat's the big problem here. I think it's just style play, and you win and lose by it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably have. You're right, and it makes the most sense to try to do something. We talked about it before. I feel like Oklahoma City has the power to press that red button, and I feel like you got to at least entertain it. You know, I would even go as far as if they wanted J-Dub, like, and that was like the main piece, I'd have an internal conversation about it just because, yeah, this is your window with the new CBA and how punitive it is. You're going to lose a lot of these players in the next couple of years. So if you want to be that much more certain to repeat, try to go get Giannis.
Yeah. Yeah. The big thing for them, it's like, how much are they concerned about like solidifying their ability and odds of winning now versus like shortening their championship window, because they have a really big championship window right now, but they have less odds of like actually winning the championship with their team constructed as it is right now. But if they were to trade for a Giannis-like player, they almost like they way more solidify their odds of going back to back, but also they do shorten their championship window because Giannis isn't as young as a Jalen Williams or a Chet Holmgren. So that's the big decision to make.
For sure. And kind of just to wrap it up, of these couple teams, who do you think should blow it up the most? Chicago Bulls, currently the 9 seed in the East. Milwaukee Bucks, currently the 11 seed, half a game out of the 10 seed play-in. The Golden State Warriors, 8 seed in the West, but have just lost Jimmy Butler for this season with a torn ACL. The Memphis Grizzlies, tied for the 10 seed in the Western Conference. And yeah, I guess the Sacramento Kings, 14 seed in the Western Conference.
I choose 2 teams. I think the Sacramento Kings as well as the Memphis Grizzlies need to blow everything up. Trade Ja. I think you have even potentially look at what looks you can get with Triple J. I really like Triple J as a player. If you can, I'd say keep him. But Ja, I think you can definitely make a case to trade him. The big thing is like how much demand is there going to be for a Ja Morant, how much you're going to get out of him. But they're kind of in no man's land. Sacramento Kings are just awful. Like their whole organization is very poor. Like it started a long time ago, but I think it definitely solidified themselves as a terrible franchise with Vlade Divac not liking Luka's dad, so he didn't select Luka with the number 2 overall pick. Instead, he chose Marvin Bagley. But that's like one of the many concerns with the Sacramento Kings. They just have a super old lineup. I think they're one of the oldest rosters in the entire league, and they suck. Like, their players make no sense. They don't gel together. They have Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder. They have Zach LaVine. They have DeMar DeRozan. What more of a random lineup could you put together that just like stems from like, we don't shoot threes very well, and we don't play that much defense, so let's put a lineup together, and we don't have any young talent either. Combine all of that, that's the Sacramento Kings for you. They need to blow it up. Clip that.
Could I interest you in the Karl Anthony Towns for a Triple J who says no first?
I would entertain that. Gives you maybe a little bit less versatility offensively for more defense, and the Knicks can definitely use more defense. I would entertain that. I think they would probably have to include like a pick, to be honest, because then that would make Memphis want to trade him.
For sure. And we can probably just quickly, UFC is back this weekend. Paramount Plus, so you no longer have to use your illegal streaming service.
You keep going with the UFC if that's okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, who do you like and how they win for the two kind of.
I need to look at the card. I think the main card is Gaethje and Paddy
Pimblett.
I love Gaethje. He's kind of old now. I'd say Paddy, but Gaethje
decision knockout.
Is
submission.
Well, how many rounds is there? It's not a championship fight, is it? Is it? Oh,
5, yeah.
I would say probably knockout then. I haven't watched a lot of Paddy, so to be honest, this is kind of like more of a guess than anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Gaethje's got one more, championship in him.
If Gaethje's going to win, it's going to have to be by knockout for him.
Yeah. And does Sean O'Malley break his 2-fight losing streak?
Who's he fighting?
Song Yadong.
I don't even know who that is, but I think he does. Sugar Sean has looked bad the past 2 fights, but also I don't know who this guy is. Maybe he's really good. I know when Sugar Sean like faces good competition, it doesn't deem well from. Granted, I think his last title fight was was Islam, right? Or one of those Dagestani guys they all look the exact same. Clip that.
Sean O'Malley.
Yeah,
he lost both fights to Merab, so it's not
Merab. That's right. That's
a huge indictment.
Same thing. He's Georgian, so a little bit different, but same but different. Clip that. I think Sugar Sean comes back. He looked awful in his previous fights, but I think against lower competition, he's obviously looks way better.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Sean O'Malley by knockout.
All right, cool. If you want to keep talking UFC, I'll leave you on. I'll just remove myself.
All right. No, we can wrap it up.
Okay, cool. You all know where to check us out. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow me on X as well. I tweet a good amount. Still trying to get Spencer on X. I actually didn't look at the last episode if we got a like or not. Just look that up real quick. If we got a like, then you have to make an X account. Let's see. Oh, no, wrong account. Because we can't count our last one because of his. No likes so far. So you're still in the clear, but next time we get a like, man.
All right. Well, we'll see you all next
Guys, you have to make us like one of our live streams. Then Spencer will finally get an X account. Clip that, please. All right. Catch y'all next week. Stay responsible. Let's make some money.